Hello there, so I'm Max Schröder from Starface, and hello. Some weird noise, that's what me? Better now? Everyone can hear me? Yeah. Okay, and I'm here to talk about what I'm really looking forward to find in Asterisk 12, and some portions of it already available in Asterisk 11, and figured out how this might fit into this WebRTC integration thing. So it's probably a little bit more about integrations. And in order to make you understand what I'm looking for to find in Asterisk 12, and I'm really happy that they built that thing, I think I have to give you a little introduction about ourselves, what Starface actually does, and how our product actually looks like. So, Starface. Starface is from Germany, and it's located quite in South Germany, which makes it almost the center of Europe. And we are in business for over 8 years by now, and have a lot of stuff going on all over Europe, but our core markets are basically the German-speaking markets, like obvious Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. But you can find our product all over Europe so far. We have translations for French, for example. You can find Spanish translation in there as well. And we have about 500 resellers, certified resellers, Starface resellers working for us, selling our product. And we are selling the same product all over and not doing, man-to-man battle with Asterisk. So a little bit more about our product. So our product. 8 years ago, we started as some small software engineering company with some skilled software engineers in there. And the story might actually sound quite familiar. We needed a PBX. PBXs were quite expensive. Asterisk was already out there, lucky for us. So we put that on our server, and we were working with Asterisk, and so we built our own PBX. And we just started as some configuration interface for Asterisk because changing configurations dynamically was quite inconvenient. And so the first approach we made towards Asterisk was giving the Asterisk a face, Asterisk, the star face. And that's what the name is all about. So over the past 8 years, this product has evolved from just being some configuration interface where you can basically just put some dial plan in towards a full-featured PBX, which actually competes in the PBX market, not so much against other Asterisk-based PBXs, but even more against traditional PBX makers by now. We added our own thing in there, like features Asterisk itself doesn't have. And we are now integrating with Asterisk through AMI, AGI, and we are like the puppet master of that system, utilizing Asterisk as basically our SIP stack and doing PSDN with it. And beyond that, we even evolved towards our whole Linux system. So we are also the puppet master of that whole Linux distribution. And if you buy our product, you actually usually get shipped our whole appliance. So we have a lovely line of 3 different appliance series you can actually buy from XMPP starting at 5 endpoint or 5 seats up towards 40 seats and then 150 seats up to 3,000 seats on one box. But you can also use this PBX in your own environment, like on VMware, for example, runs quite fine in there as well. And you can also get this product as some cloud-hosted service, so you can actually buy that per monthly subscription fee from us. And the funny thing about it, or a really nice selling point about it, is that you can switch this configuration between all these scenarios. So you can start up as a cloud service with just 4 seats, and then as business expands, you can switch either to a PBX or even bigger to this VMware option with the same configuration. So you have never to do a configuration twice. And you can easily switch back and forth between those scenarios. So Starface, the puppet master. As I said, we added some features of our own. I had a hard time picking features to present to you to make you understand what our product actually is and what's it beyond the vanilla asterisk thing there. I chose to pick 5. It was really hard for me to pick 5 out of many of those. I picked 5 which might not sound particularly exciting, because some PBXs out there write that on their feature list, but I think these are 5 points we are particularly good in. So the first point would be we have managed online updates actually for the whole system, not just for Asterisk or not just some Linux stuff, for the whole system. So our end user, the customer, actually has this lovely web UI you can see all here. So that's a hidden 6th point on that. You have this great web UI. You have this button update available. The customer can click that button. About 20 minutes later, the whole system gets updated, like kernel replacements, like Asterisk version updates. We can do this all online. And that's a pretty nice thing, actually, which amazes from time to time resellers who have worked with Asterisk by their own before. And this is an argument for them to switch to Starface, because we can do that maintenance for them. Second point is phones. PBX is merely about phones. We are not building phones, but there are many, many companies building phones out there. And we started integrating quite deeply with different brands. And even furthermore, we have built zero-touch deployment for many of the major brands over in Germany. For example, Snome is a very strong partner for us over there. And you can just plug in the Snome phone for Power over Ethernet, and it will run on the same network. So it gets its configuration pushed by the Starface, and that's it. You have actually to dial *77 to log into that phone, so your numbers ring on that phone, but that's it, all you have to do. We implemented that for Snome, for Gigaset. We have this with Yearlink already. We have other phone manufacturers. We just recently added Panasonic to this list with zero-touch deployment. And we're working very closely with these manufacturers in order to make that happen. So it's not option 66 or something like that. So we are working with them. So you have really not to do anything in order to make these phones work. And that's a pretty nice thing out there. Furthermore, we integrate in these phones by having XML browser available for Snome, so you find your PBX settings directly in your phone. We have a lot of functionality on the BusyLamp field, so you can basically just interact with the phone, because this is what many customers expect to have, and we build this for them. So this virtual BusyLamp field over here, you have a lot of functionality besides presence and availability of phone status. You have also these nice functions like having CCPS on a BusyLamp field. You just press that, and the PBX will try to redial that contact. We have something we call integrated fixed mobile conversions. And the integrated is basically just to get the I in front of the IFMC. That's pretty nice. So you can actually use any phone number as an extension to your PBX. Will behave like a regular extension on your PBX. You can originate through that and make phone calls. And the other part of the line will just see your business number, your office number. It works really, really pretty smooth. And this is something not available in vanilla Asterisk, and was really a lot of effort to implement using AGI and AMI at all. And it runs really, really well. That's a nice feature. And we also added security in a way that we added automated hacker detection, like every single way into the PBX, which is open to the internet, is actually monitored for suspicious traffic. So quite every, like not only just zip or SSH, HTTP, XMPP, everything out there is monitored for authentication, failed login attempts, and is added to the blacklist, which means it's blocked on IP tables level if we find something suspicious out there. And to figure out what's suspicious for the different protocols and even for the different use cases, for example, HTTP is just more as our web front end. The XML browser for phones is also HTTP, so this other things might be suspicious on that level, so we had to figure out what's suspicious at all. And it was actually pretty well. And we took a lot of care figuring that out. Another thing which took a long time to make secure was this zero-touch provisioning thing, because obviously that is something we have to expose unauthorized, because the phone doesn't have been set up before, so we have to do something about it. And we somehow managed to do so, and right now we have this cloud-hosted service where you have this zero-touch provisioning thing going on with Snome and Gigaset phones, and still have a secure PBX where not someone can just figure out very easily how to get a SIP account. And to mention that, we enforce our users to have strong passwords. So 1, 2, 3 won't work on this PBX. And because phones get actually auto-provisioned, so this PBX takes care about pushing passwords to the phones. The users won't come up with, okay, I need a simple password. So we can actually enforce this and change the password on a regular basis, and so on and so on. So having said all this, the last and the fifth feature on that slide is about having powerful APIs for our VARs in order to integrate and extend the abilities and functionality of our PBX. That's a very strong feature, and I think this is a feature I want to show you and give you more information about what's about that. So, APIs. We have that in our product already. And you might wonder why, basically. What have they built there? So when we started using Asterisk, what convinced us, besides it was open source and free, what convinced us was that it was highly flexible, very extensible, so we could just add any functionality we want to have, and if something wasn't working the way we wanted it to be, so we could work on that and change that. And this is something we wanted to keep. That convinced us. In our early days, this was what convinced our VARs. So we wanted to keep that. But that actually looks like that. We have seen a lot of that today, command line interfaces, log files. You have to be a programmer in order to do so, to accomplish anything here. And we figured our VARs aren't. They're not just all IT-driven companies out there selling PBXs. Basically, many PBX selling companies have no idea about IT. They knew how to pull wires or something like that. And so we have to give it another approach. Besides, from they not being IT industry, it took us a long time to figure out how to tweak around with Asterisk and make something even bigger out of it. Pushing that all on them, that would be quite hard and quite cruel. That was at least our opinion back then. Besides, we even needed a little bit more use cases than they were already there. So let's say HTTP calls. So someone calls a URL and a dial should be made, or an ongoing call should be updated, the caller ID based on some other thing. Pushing that on the VARs on plain vanilla would be a lot of effort, a lot of training, which had to be done by us, and we didn't want to do that. And besides, over the time, we added these own features I was just showing, and so these would be missing if we are just doing vanilla Asterisk APIs. So what did we do? And in order to replace this command line thing over here, we added to our PBX about 5 years ago this lovely web interface-based programming tool. I actually shouldn't call it programming tool, so I'm doing trainings on these, and I'm trying to avoid the term program or programming at all, because our VARs are a little bit scared about programming. So this actually feels like configuration. You have a web UI, you configure something. Basically, what comes out of that is some short script language. We invented a script language in order to do so. You actually do this by drag and drop. You find many pre-prepared functions over here in the library. You just pull them over in the main window, and then you arrange the order you want to have, like first replacing caller ID, caller ID, then dial some device and play audio on that, see what's entered by DTMF and act on that. So that could be done with this tool. We have like copy and paste. We have actually some status telling you, okay, that code might work, might not work. You have a function in there which got recently replaced, so please use the updated version. This editor helps you with editing your and here comes the name, this module, we call it. I didn't come up with this name by myself, so might be confusing. Today, I would call it apps, because that's much cooler. We call it Starface module, what comes out of that. And besides from this really nice editor, deployment has been a big problem about doing things for customers. And we also approach this by, what comes out of this is some file you can download from the PBX you created on. You can send it by email to your customer. He can just click import, and then he has these abilities, whatever you programmed in there on his PBX. So this is quite nice. We put in version checks, like you can actually check on which PBX version you're running on. If this API is still up to that level, you programmed your module in. So if the customer hits update on his web UI, you can check if it's still running and give the customer advice like, please contact your VAR. Something might not work. We implemented this as well within this module system. And there are many use cases for modules out there. Just take this, there are not enough ways to do IVRs. Like every customer wants to have a different one. We built IVRs, I think our VARs built about 20 or 25 different ways to do IVR for, what do I know? Which kind of announcement they want to have, which kind of, how many levels they want to have, like whatsoever. That's a very common use case. Another very common use case for these are blacklisting, for example, interfering with ongoing calls. So you can actually set call ID based on stuff like what device is actually called. So if you have a device with such a screen, you can really write a lot of information in there. If you just have a cordless handset with 4 letters, you can write a very short signaling through that. And that could all be done with a module system. And I just want to bring you one use case which has been recently released by one of our VARs, which I think is particularly great, because they released your personal assistant named Eni. That's some sort of pre-name in Germany. And what this module actually does is adding complete new functionality to this PBX, which is voice recognition and text-to-speech capabilities in one. So they utilized, I think it's called UniMRCP project, something, which actually does in the back end this Nuance web service, and you can talk with the PBX in that way. So on deployment on that module, they check what version of Starface they have, and they deploy some Asterisk module they compiled for our PBX with this module. And on top of that, they also deploy this new functionality towards the module runtime, which enables other VARs to utilize these functions and build their own applications based on that, text recognition and text-to-speech. And use cases for that would be like calling in, making some HTTP call to the weather station on your roof, and that system reads you out loud the temperature at home. So you're in the car, can't touch something. Personal assistant, interactive IVRs, like your company directory, you just call in and say, okay, I want to speak John Doe, and system asks you, which John Doe did you mean? Even more, you can do text recognition, speech recognition, and synthesis at once. So for example, you call in, the system asks your customer, what kind of problem do you have? And the customer is saying, okay, I have trouble with my internet. System recognizes that word internet with a strength of, let's say, 90%, because customer's in a hurry. You can filter that and then route that call to the internet help desk, for example, instead of your voice guys. So this is common application you can do with this. It has just recently been released by our VAR, and it's really successful already, had a high demand, and really looking forward seeing more of that kind of modules out there. So that was modules. But that wasn't quite it. The reason is, what you just saw is extending the capabilities of the PBX itself. So how calls are routed, how you can intercept calls, and what's missing in there is some sort of interface. You cannot display something to the customer with this technology. And the reason we didn't build that in is we have this really, really, really amazing web interface. I can't just emphasize enough on that because we have it for over 9 years, so actually before the company started. But we figured out customers are not using it. Put a lot of effort in there, but customers are not using it. Although it's platform-independent, browser-based, HTML5 by now, really great. Browser gets closed, phone rings, no one looking at the browser. And why is that? Because they're already working with some other system, like CRM, customer relation management. Like in a call center, they have the system guiding them through this workflow. How they should ask the customer what's going on. They're already working with some sort of software, and it's not the PBX. And it doesn't make any sense to put more information in the PBX because they won't still use that. It's the other way around. They want the information about what's going on with this call in their system. So we built this other API. And these two do coexist because of the use cases they cover. They're very specialized for both, for each use case they have. And the other API is called Starface UCI. I think that's Unified Communication Interface. So this has been invented for integrating with third-party applications. So giving the information on the PBX outside. And basic approach, what we needed that for was CTI, like TAPI or something like that, click to dial basically. But we took a little bit more approach on that. And because this is developer conference, a lot of developers here, I copy and pasted some technical stuff in here just to let you know this is not about making it easy like the module system was. This targets actually real programmers. So we built a whole protocol up there. It's actually based on XML-RPC. XML-RPC itself is based on HTTP, which both are very simple to understand and very straightforward to use. There are many frameworks out there to utilize that. So actually it's 2 HTTP calls and your phone rings on a Starface PBX. So click to dial was done. Great. But then we thought, OK, that's not enough. We also want to give them the information. That was just the outgoing call, was it? We are missing the incoming call somehow. So we need some sort of pop-up in this program I'm using in. And we thought, OK, that's bad if it's HTTP-based, so we need some bidirectional communication. And we utilized the XMPP protocol in order to make this happen. There's actually an extension to the XMPP protocol specification for XML RPC through XMPP. And this gave us the ability to create a program which is session-based, which is event-driven, so we can push information from the PBX to the CRM and backwards, and which is really, really easy to adopt because there are many XMPP frameworks out there for all kinds of solutions. OK, I just got the signal I had to hurry up. We have this UCI thing going on for over 5 years by now. We have several versions of UCI so far. Latest reincarnation is from 2011, adding, besides just placing calls, we have the ability to send fax through where receive fax, check my voicemails in there. I can control my assignment to ringing groups, for example, the display number I have to push on my phones, and which I showed the partner I'm calling, and all kinds of stuff. I can set my redirections, and there are many, many great use cases for that. And the next slide is a bit overloaded, but I just wanted to give you an idea what's already out there. So this is not future, this is present. We have all kinds of CTI integrations out there. Windows, macOS, Microsoft Outlook on iPhone are those we did by ourselves, which we pushed out there to prove the point that what is possible. So over here we have Outlook 2013. And the other CTI solutions you can see here, like nodes like Sugar, Android, smartphone, BlackBerry, we have a new app out there for the Q10 or Z10, so the latest BlackBerry generation. These are integrations done by our VARs, not just to win one single customer, but the integration itself has become a quite successful business case for them. So they are selling this Android client, for example, on the Google Play Store and make money out of it. And I want to show you one particular CTI solution which just came out last month. So always showing the latest one here. And this is actually our new Salesforce connector, also done by one of our VARs, which integrates in this Salesforce web-based CRM system. So in case there's any phone number shown, it actually gives you the ability to just click that phone number and your phone starts ringing, calling this number. You actually got more than just that. You get incoming calls resolved on Salesforce. So if you're not knowing who is calling and the number is inside a Salesforce system, it will actually show that contact and you can add, for example, notes or something like that to this call. You can set your presence or your availability. You can actually see, okay, I'm online, my phone is connected. You can switch over to Starface, or you can just the calls you missed, you can dial back right from within your CRM system. You don't have to leave the system you're basically working on whole day just to do these operations. And this has also been quite a successful business case for VAR so far. Just out there 4 weeks by now and has already several customers. That VAR actually does not sell any PBXs at all. That's just some software writing company out there which thought that might be a useful thing to do and a useful product to release. And that's a really nice thing, I think. So coming to our end at all. So we have these two APIs. We have this module system, Starface modules, which utilize and extend the PBX itself and the abilities to make calls on that. And the Starface UCI thing in order to integrate in third-party and do CTI and even more in these third-party CRM systems. And just to mention these two terms, like integration and WebRTC, Asterisk 12 is something I really look forward to utilize on Starface modules, because the way we did it is great, but quite limited by what Asterisk is able to do by today. So I see a lot of improvement out there when Asterisk 12 finally arrives, and I'm happy to integrate them. And to mention WebRTC at least once, I see that actually in this UCI, because if I'm Salesforce open and I click a button, why does my phone ring? I could just do this in the browser. So that would be applications I see for these two scenarios. Thanks for your attention, and ask any questions if I missed something.